the cost of living is still affecting the way we all shop. So I really want to help in the best way I can by giving you some delicious recipes that won't break the bank.
Full of flavour, full of love, and it's good on your wallet as well.
Inspired by classic money-saving techniques in the kitchen, as well as old-school tips and tricks that Nana would be proud of.
This method is just gold, and I love it.
I'm going to show you £1 wonders, which will come in at £1 a portion or less.
We're talking 75 pence, so it's really good value. It's exciting.
And a whole host of other money-saving meals. From DIY takeaways that are a fraction of the price of a delivery, to price drop puddings that go as low as 21p a bun.
Humble ingredients that are super good value that make big flavour. That is what this is all about. India, for me, always over-delivers. Amazing with herbs, spices, big and up veggies. So this one, you're going to love.
This dosa with roasted vegetables is an epic £1 wonder, and my version of a delicious crisp Indian pancake, like a masala dosa, but with a few of my own extras. It's coming in at a brilliant 99 pence per portion. By making a big batch of low-cost batter and using spices to elevate some bargain vegetables, you can whip up a fantastic super cheap feast.
So let's just describe the dosa. A crispy pancake with this amazing kind of intense veggie dish with spices and herbs. And this dosa pancake batter is really great, and it's quite straightforward. Not completely traditional, but really accessible. So first up, coarse sieve. I've got 300 grams of basmati rice. That goes in. Then I've got 150 grams of urid dal. Now, urid dal is basically a split peeled lentil. You can get it in all the supermarkets, so it is more common than you think if you've never heard of it before. And then a couple of tablespoons of fenugreek, which is one of my favourite spices. It's very savoury, and I just love it. It's got an amazing perfume. So that goes in, and we're going to give it a little wash. And just let that sort of starchiness just drain out of it. Just do this for a couple of minutes, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to take the rice and dal and fenugreek and just shake it into here like that. And to that quantity, I'm going to add sort of 900 millilitres to a litre of water. And I'm going to give it a little pulse just to get things going. It's just going to break it up a little bit. Turn it up. And then turn it off. Now, that just kind of starts to break up the rice and the lentils. And then I'll leave the lid ajar, and I'll leave it overnight. What's going to happen? It will ferment, it will start making little bubbles, right? So it's going to give you a little bit of raising agent, which is nice, but more importantly, it's going to develop flavour. But then after that time, and I've got to swap out, this is what it looks like, which is basically the same, but you can just smell there's a souring going on, a development of flavour. I'll add a little bit of salt now, just to season it, and give it a little whiz. So, we have a really interesting batter ready and raring to go. I can't wait to show you how to cook that. Now, really simple bit of this recipe is our veggie filling. I've got sweet potatoes, 2 washed, 2 jacket potatoes, 2 peppers, 2 onions in their skin. So cheap to do. Just whack it into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for around an hour. And then I've got these little dipping sauces. So one is a tomato sauce and one is a coconut sauce. And I haven't got all the ingredients to do it traditionally, but I'm going to do the best I can with things I can get hold of really easily, and by the way, for under £1 a portion. So I've got 3 tomatoes here. Grab a standard box grater on the fine side. You get this sweet and sour, gorgeous, almost like greenhouse tomato-like flavour. And then we can get rid of this skin. If you want to get some heat in there, just a little bit of chilli to get those spices going. If you want to take a little bit of ginger as well, that can be really delicious. Don't need much, just for that freshness and that heat. Season it with some salt. I've got a lime here, and what I'm going to do is roll it first to get all the juices going. So that lime zest is really useful. We're using every last bit of this beautiful citrus. I'll use half of this lime in here, just for that freshness and acidity. Mix it up. A little bit of oil. Nice. So, number one. Now, the second one, got 65 grams of desiccated coconut, unsweetened, and 6 tablespoons of yogurt. And with another squeeze of lime juice and a little seasoning, this is going to be delicious. So the veggies should be done. They're already smelling mighty fine. If you bust that open, look at the colour. So I've got my jacket potatoes there. We'll peel these peppers, right? Get rid of the seeds, and you're left with that amazing sweetness and the juices that come out. And then with the onion, if I just cut it at one end, you can literally squeeze out the onion like that, and it's just soft and jammy. Let's chop up the potato because we want some of that skin. Have a look in this tray. You will notice there's little caught burnt bits from the sweet potato, almost like drippings. I'll just pour that into that tomato juice because it's going to taste heavenly. So mix that in. Right, let's get 2 pans. I'm going to put this one here for the veggies on a high heat, this on a low heat. I'm going to go in with a nice knob of butter, then a couple of teaspoons of mustard seeds, and I've got 2 teaspoons of cumin. So let the butter start to just nicely fry those and get them toasting and popping. I'm going to take a piece of ginger, like a 5 centimetre piece, so I'll scrape that off, finely chop it. Then I've got a red chilli, and then I've got 4 cloves of garlic, and all of this I'm going to chop together. Do you hear that? So that's the first mustard seed starting to pop. So that's a good sign. Let's go in with the chili, garlic, and ginger. Come on. The smells. And then I'm going to take the stalks of coriander. Beautiful, sweet flavour, fragrant, all the way up to the leaves. And then I'll keep the leaves for finishing the dish later. But the stalks go in. So this is going to make those veggies taste incredible. Give it a season with salt. Let this just cook nicely for like 10 minutes. And then while that's happening, let's do the first dosa. So what we're going to do is just sort of check the pan temperature, see if that's good, and check the consistency of the batter. Beautiful, look at that. We're going to go in with a full ladle, and I'm going to put it at one end like that and move the batter around so it really goes up the edges, because that's going to give you those nice crispy bits. So back on full whack, and then after about 4 minutes you should have a gorgeous crispy dosa. So if you look at this, can you see how lovely and golden that is? Right, so we love that. At this stage, we can take butter and just rub it over the top, and that will go through onto the other side. Let's get this one out. It's looking good. Sizzling away. That is a beautiful thing. So I'm just going to just fold that up like that, and then we can start cooking our next one. Bubbles are going. Back on the heat. Take some of this roasted and fried veg, and we can be quite generous with that. The coconut sauce, and then go for that incredible tomato salsa. Fill up the well. Fill it up, and we'll take some coriander, and that is going to be a thing of joy. Right, this one's done now. Now we're getting our kind of dosa mojo. Gorgeous. And let's have a little try. Use the dosa just to grab some of that filling. You've got to get in there with the dips. Oh my goodness. Just love it. It's so flippin' tasty. That's what cooking is all about, right? You don't have to spend loads of money to get the most incredible food.
This gorgeous Indian-inspired veggie feast will impress 6 of your favourite people and comes in at 99 pence a head. I've taken the average cost of each ingredient and quantity used from 3 of the biggest supermarkets. The only things I've assumed you have are salt, pepper and oil. If you love takeaway fried chicken, I'm going to show you how to go one better for your budget with My Crispy Chicken in gorgeous garlic breadcrumbs with sweet potato wedges, corn and coleslaw at a wallet-friendly price of £1.61 a person. This family-sized platter for 4 will not only save you money, it's healthier too, without a deep fat fryer in sight.
Right, so chicken, crispy, beautifully flavoured, meat falling off the bone, that's what we want. And I'm gonna do sweet potato fries. So what I've done is I've taken 3 large sweet potatoes. I'm gonna keep the skin on. I'll take each half into 3. So nice chunky wedges. I'm gonna make a little spice rub. So go into a bowl with 2 heaped tablespoons of cornmeal. It's gonna help give your chicken and the sweet potatoes a nice crunchy exterior. Next, a nice heaped tablespoon of Cajun seasoning. You want a generous seasoning of sea salt and black pepper. So let's get some chicken. Chicken legs, my favourite cut. It's a very economical cut as well. I'm gonna get myself 2 trays, and then I'm gonna also save a bit of money with olive oil. Instead of drizzling away like I do, just give it a nice little spritz, or you can drizzle, which just makes the crust even better. Next up, chicken. So we're gonna have another little spritz up. Loving this. And again. Okay, in with the chicken. That seasoning's getting in there. It's gonna make it amazing. Any of this leftover spice here, we can just sprinkle on the top. Let's have a quick little clean down and get those in the oven. The oven is preheated to 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 Fahrenheit. Now, the chicken and sweet potatoes are gonna cook for around about an hour. After 20 minutes, the chicken comes out, and that's when I make a special coating to add more flavour, crunchy garlic breadcrumbs. And those breadcrumbs are gonna be made out of stale bread. 3 slices, give or take, go into a food processor. I'm gonna add a couple of cloves of garlic. I'll hit it up with some pepper. I'm gonna put just a little bit of oil in there, about half a tablespoon, and then I'm gonna whiz it out. So, breadcrumbs are done. In here, I'm gonna go in with about 2 tablespoons of flour, and then just mix in about 4 tablespoons of water, just to let it down to be a thick batter to stick the breadcrumbs to the chicken. You can add a little seasoning if you wish, so put that to one side. Get yourself a little bowl for the breadcrumbs. So what I'm gonna do is take the chicken out when it's had 20 minutes. So this is not fully cooked yet. And then drape or brush the chicken in this batter. Look, move it around. And then we go from here to here. We pat it and see we coat it. And you've got those lovely garlicky breadcrumbs. And then in with this one. Let's wash the hands. So, back in the oven we go for 40 minutes until it looks utterly gorgeous. I'm gonna add the next ingredient, some lovely sweet corn. So, frozen sweet corn, really good, fantastic value. The kids love it. I'm gonna whack those in the tray that the chicken's cooking in. and the lovely fats that are rendering out of the chicken, we can just toss that in it and it's going to be utterly delicious. So, here's one, there's two, there's a third, and one on the back. So let that have half an hour. Now, let's make a beautiful slaw. It's going to be a white cabbage slaw. I'll take the onion and just grate it. Time to cry. I want some seasoning and some vinegar on to that onion. So it's almost like a quick pickle. So a couple of tablespoons of vinegar go on there. We'll season it with some salt and we'll mix that up. I'll just take a quarter of white cabbage and again, just gonna box grate. With the chicken, sweet potatoes, it's gonna be great. So I reckon that is enough. Take a washed pear and just grate the whole thing. And honestly, this puts an incredible edge on your slaws. And then I'm gonna go in with some whole grain mustard. 1 heaped teaspoon and just a tablespoon of olive oil goes in. Next up, 3 tablespoons of yogurt. It's creamy, it's tangy. This with roasted or grilled meats is amazing. This in a sandwich, beautiful. I've got some dill here. You can use whatever herb you want, just pick that over. There's one last thing that I want on this slaw. If you've got some, just 20 grams of feta. This is optional, you don't have to do it. And that, my friends, is gonna be a delicious slaw. Okay, so time to get the chicken out. It smells incredible. Sizzling away. Look at that. Crispy and golden. We've got our fries here. These have turned out great. Let's load up the sweet corn. Then we go in with the chicken. It's crispy on the bottom, which we like. Come on, look at that. Imagine taking that to the table. Kids, dive in. Let's just get myself a load of those fries. And a big old chicken. What I love about these fries is they're soft, caramelized, and crispy. Oh my goodness. Spice, seasoning, and crunch. If you're trying to save some money, if you want to make it healthier, look no further. Come on. At half the price, wow, I love it.
At £1.61 a portion, this fantastic finger-licking platter will feed a family of 4. It's not only healthier than your average takeaway, it's cheaper too. Happy days.
Whenever I want something that's really good value and super comforting, I always go for a classic like a great Italian risotto. But this one has a great British twist.
Instead of classic risotto rice, which can be a bit pricey, I'm using a grain that savvy British grannies have been using to keep costs down for centuries. Even better, my super cheap pearl barley risotto at 84 pence per portion will cost you way less than £1 a person. What's not to love?
Let's put a wide pan on a medium-high heat. Obviously, a risotto, whether you're making it with rice or pearl barley, is based on stock. So I have got 1.5 litres of boiling water. And I'm just going to put a stock cube in there and just whisk it up. So into the pan, we're going to go with a nice knob of butter. 1 onion, peeled. So just finely slice it. Go in with the onion. So it softens and goes a little sweet. Then I'm just going to trim off these green tops from the broccoli. So the green bits is what everyone tends to love. And this will go in the risotto for the last couple of minutes. So it's soft, delicious, sweet, but full of colour. Any of these offcuts can go in with the beautiful onions. Then we've got the stalks here. Often the stalk ends up in the bin. No way. Right, this is where a lot of flavour is. Let's season with salt and pepper. If you want to speed up the softening, you can put a little lid on top like that. That's now nice and soft. Now we go in with the pearl barley. 300 grams. So now, cider. Just a little glug. And we're going to cook it away. I've turned the pan up now. Now I'll start introducing the chicken stock. And of course, you could make this veggie if you wished. So just a little bit of stock at a time. Let it kind of cook into the pearl barley. And when it's disappeared, we'll go in a little bit more. We want to urge out that creaminess, that starchiness. So whether it's rice or the pearl barley, just little by little, stir by stir. What I'm going to do now is get on with the most amazing garlicky breadcrumbs. So all I need for that is just a frying pan onto a heat. I'll add a bit of oil. Here we've got some lovely thyme. And it always spits and it smells amazing. I'm going to take a garlic clove and just finely slice that. And then some stale breadcrumbs. One of the most wasted foods is bread. So don't throw it away. Just about 80 grams, I reckon, is all I need. And then I'll add a little bit of salt, a nice pinch of pepper, and the fun doesn't stop there. No, 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 no. To complement that, I'm going to just take a small handful of walnuts. So I'll literally just break this up in my hand, like that. It's like a nice tablespoon. Just olive oil in those breadcrumbs, just so they start to fry a little bit. And that, on top of your oozy pearl barley risotto, will be a thing of joy. Let's add just a little more stock. I can see the pearl barley just fattening up. So we're 25 minutes into the cook now, and the pearl barley's now soft, and we can add the rest of that stock. Then we'll go in with all of that lovely green part of the broccoli. And now this breadcrumb mix, I think, is looking really, really good. So we'll turn that off. Let's coarsely grate some cheese. I'm thinking cheddar and Stilton. So about 30 grams of both cheese is good. Now I'll turn the heat off. That's when we stir in the cheese. You really can see that creaminess now, look at that. So let's serve up our very not Italian risotto with pearl barley. We're gonna have a lovely, big, generous portion of this. Look. We can just take that beautiful walnut breadcrumbs and just sprinkle it on top. So there you go. Spoon or fork? Spoon. The pearl barley is very soft, creamy, but it has a kind of robust, nutty, almost malty-like flavour. And all the goodness from that broccoli. You could just curl up in a corner and just smash that. On a miserable day, when the weather's a little bit cold, I'm very happy. You should definitely give that a go.
At 84 pence per portion, this gorgeous money-saving meal will happily fill up 4 people. Follow your granny, and you can't go wrong with this wallet-friendly £1 wonder. Loads of us love a sweet afternoon snack, and my orange chocolate shortbread always goes down a treat. One small but perfectly formed biscuit costs 21 pence to make, and you can quickly cook this freezer-friendly dough straight from frozen. Perfect with a cuppa.
So in here we've got 200 grams of plain flour. I'm going to go in with 50 grams of golden caster sugar and then 150 grams of butter and just dice it up. And what I want to do is flavour it with one of my favourite things, ginger. And this ginger you can get in all the supermarkets, stem ginger. So 50 grams of that will be about 4 of these. And they're sweet, they're fragrant, they're a little bit hot. I love that. If we just dice this up nice and fine, these are really chewy. Almost kind of wine gummy. And they're gonna be so good in this shortbread. A little pinch of salt in to season the flour. And then I'm gonna really rub the flour and butter together and start incorporating all the other ingredients. You can see it's coming together now, and at this point, I'll just start packing it and pushing it into one piece. Nice. So look, in no time at all, that's just come together. So get yourself a little piece of greaseproof paper, and then take this shortbread and just mold it into a nice rough shape about that. And then use the greaseproof to roll it up, and then grab the ends and just kind of pinch it in like that. And then you can just simply twist it. From here, we're gonna put this in the freezer. And within an hour, that will have firmed up. And you can keep that in there, frankly, for months. So let's say friends turn up out of the blue. Get this out, get yourself a board, and just slice through nice and gently. And then I'll get my air fryer out, take out that little tray, and just get yourself a little piece of greaseproof paper like that. And then I'm gonna place the little coins. You can do this, of course, in a conventional oven. I'm gonna put this in for 14 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius. And that, from cold, is gonna be perfect. In a conventional oven, 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, for 17 minutes. Over here, I have got some leftover chocolate. So what I'll do is just take a little bowl and melt about 50 grams. You can use really posh chocolate if you've got it. This is chocolate orange. I'm gonna pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds. Get yourself a little spoon. Have a look at this. You can see it's starting to melt here. You don't want to overheat it. Let's do my little cup of tea. Beautiful, look at that. So let's get in there. And while they're still warm, I'm going to just sprinkle them with a little golden caster sugar. And it will just stick to it a little bit. And we got the melted chocolate. Just then start kind of going a little bit bonkers. It just looks fantastic. And a little bit of chocolate goes a long, long way. Let that cool down. Some beautiful biscuits. I've got a little board. I've got my beautiful pink cup. And I'm gonna take 2 biscuits. I love it. I'm not gonna dunk it, nah. It's perfect, just the way it is. The ginger is absolutely sublime, and with that chocolate orange on top is just a winner. Cheers.
At a tasty 21 pence each, you can make 12 of these bargain biscuits. And using your store cupboard and freezer, you can knock out this super cheap treat in no time at all. What's not to love? I'm not the only one on a mission to amp up flavour without breaking the bank. Sophie Wybird is an accomplished cook, author and content creator who is a champion of the store cupboard and loves a bargain from her favourite grocers in South London.
I love my local shop. It really is a one-stop shop. I'm trying to look for some bargains down here. Whoa, that is a lot of olives. I think this big jar will do, and you get so much for your money. Now, tinned fish is such a good value ingredient, filled with protein, and is an absolute bargain. So we're using tinned sardines today. I'm getting sunflower oil ones because the olive oil ones are quite expensive. Got to get some milk for this recipe. I don't need loads, but interestingly, per litre, it's much cheaper to get a big milk than a tiny one. You can even freeze it and put it in ice cube trays and use that for your teas throughout the week. Sorry, heavy basket there. I can't wait to get home and cook all this. Thank you, have a good day. Bye.
After a bit of thrifty shopping, Sophie's making a beautiful sardine puttanesca lasagna. At £1.92 per portion, heroing tinned fish, it's a brilliant way to treat the ones you love on a budget.
So we're going to start off with chopping an onion. So this is a really good money-saving meal because it relies predominantly on store-cut ingredients. We're going to go in with a little bit of olive oil, and then the other thing we're going to use is some of the oil from the can of the sardines. Sardines, very underrated ingredient. And then you can just go in with the onions. A little bit of salt in there too. And we're probably going to cook them for about 15, 20 minutes. So a puttanesca is a really lovely pasta dish that involves tomatoes, capers, olives, anchovies, chili flakes. I wanted to create a version that was slightly better for maybe if you were having some people around for dinner. And a lasagna, you just can't go wrong with, can you? We can go quite heavy with the garlic. So we've got 3 cloves there, and we're just going to give them a little smash. It looks like a lot of garlic, and that's because it is a lot of garlic. Depending on how spicy you like your food, you could go pretty heavy on the chili flakes. So we're going for about half a teaspoon here. And then you just want to cook these out for about a minute or so. We're going to crack open our tomatoes. So you're just going to get that on a low heat, and then white sauce begins with my favourite ingredient in the world, butter. Just going to let that really melt down. We've got 50 grams of butter in the pan, so that means 50 grams of flour. It just creates a nice thick paste that you want to cook out for about a minute and a half. We're going to measure out about 800 mils of milk. I tend to turn it off the heat at this stage, otherwise the milk evaporates too quickly. So we just add it little bit by bit. There are no lumps in this, and you're kind of not at risk of it getting lumpy anymore. And this is the point where we put it back on the heat and bring it up to a boil. Oh, our milk's coming up now. A watched pot never boils, and I did turn away for a second. I'm just gonna get a bay leaf in there, let that really infuse in the milk. Add that to the Chaos spice cupboard, don't look in there. Once it's come up to a boil, that's when you can turn it down to a slightly more gentle simmer, and you just leave it there for about 2 minutes, stirring it so that it's not sticky on the base of the pan, and that's when you'll really see the thickening start to happen. So, to my favourite area of the fridge, the cheese section. We've got Grana Padano. Save a little nubbin at the end for later. Nice. And then a little bit of mozzarella. You're going to get those gorgeous cheese strings in there. Ooh, beautiful. A little pinch of salt. And we're also going to go in with just a few grinds of black pepper. I do think that's one of the most important flavours in a white sauce. So our lovely, gloopy, cheesy sauce is done. And now we can go back to our red sauce. So she's been bubbling away nicely here. And then we're going to go in with those tins of sardines. They're going to get a bit mashed up in the sauce anyway. So we've got this lovely big jar of green olives, which we're not going to use all of these, obviously. That would be quite intense. So we're going to use about that many olives in this dish, and then the rest can just go into the fridge for another day. And just smush a knife down on them. You can really easily prise the pips out of there. Get them straight into the pan. Because the sardines and the olives are already cooked, it's more about warming them up and getting their flavours to mingle with the rest of the sauce. So the final ingredient is parsley. That is lovely. So the next stage, we're going to layer up the lasagna, but before we do that, we have to blanch some of the lasagna sheets. So we've got a baking tray here, and in there, we're going to put a sheet of baking parchment. This is just so that the lasagna sheets do not stick to our tray. So you can see now, this has gone nice and floppy. Just let it dry out a little bit. And then we can move on to layering it up in the dish. Start with our red sauce on the bottom. Not too much. I'm just gonna tear this in half. That was satisfying. Fits quite snugly in that dish, which we like. And then you can just go in with a little bit more of your red sauce. Next, drizzle that white sauce. Amazing. And now, that little nubbin of cheese that you saved from earlier is what you're gonna grate all over the top. So that can now go in the oven for 45 minutes. 190 degrees. It's gonna get a really lovely bubbly top and it's gonna be super tender in the middle. See you in a bit, lasagna. The moment of truth. It smells amazing. With a lasagna, you really want to rest it for 5–10 minutes. Otherwise, it's just going to be way too soft to get properly nice slices out of it. Oh, I almost don't want to cut into it. It looks so nice, but we're going to have to do it, aren't we? Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, look at that. What a lovely slice. Oh my word, that is so good. The sardines and the olives with that cheesy, creamy sauce is really special. Sardines, guys, get on it. Tinned fish for the win, store cupboard dinners for the win. This is really, really lovely. Please do give it a go.
This gorgeous sardine spin on a classic lasagna will serve 4 lucky people at £1.92 each. A brilliantly thrifty and very tasty way to impress your friends and family. It's a win-win.
Sometimes, if you want to keep costs down and flavour up, it's good to look to our grandparents for inspiration. This is the most delicious beef stew with the most amazing dumplings.
My Big Batch Stew is a great little money saver, using super cheap tins of beans to bulk out lovely minced beef in a brilliant one-pot wonder that costs £1.29 per portion. My nanas would be proud.
So I love this recipe. It reminds me of being a kid. Beautiful, comforting, like mincemeat stews. There's a few little tricks and tips in this recipe, as per usual. Onions, red or white, I don't mind. Skin on, no effort, no work. Whack it in the microwave for about 10 minutes. It's a nice way to speed up this kind of cooking and amplify deliciousness. So I'll go in with a couple of tablespoons of oil. I'm using olive oil. Let's begin the story with a trusty herb. This is sage. I love sage. Just grab it at the top like that, where the leaves are, and just rip it off like that. Then I'm going to put this sage into this oil. We're using minced beef. Keep an eye on the fat content. Of course, you can get it cheaper the more fat you have. I don't mind the 10–15% fat, but you can get the lean stuff if you want. See what's available. I've got 250 grams, and I'm going to stretch that a long way. This is now getting crispy. So first of all, I'm going to take some of this lovely crispy sage and I'll sprinkle it over our finished dish when it comes out the oven. Secondly, I'm going to use these crispy sage leaves to flavour my amazing dumplings. And then thirdly, what's left in this pan is the most amazing, perfumed, gorgeous olive oil. So break up your mincemeat. Over here, we got mushrooms. So this is the cheapest kind of mushroom you can get your hands on, closed cup. Mushrooms often you'll find reduced. So I will just put them in a food processor. You don't have to, right? But it takes like 30 seconds. The microwave Normally it's just used to soften butter or ice cream. It's now steaming onions. These have now gone jammy, and I'll just let them cool down a little bit. So you can see we have our peppery mincemeat doing its thing. I will add some seasoning as well, so salt and black pepper. Let's get in with the mushrooms. Stir that into that sage fat with the beef. Let's have a little look at the onion. Obviously we don't want the skin, but you should be able to just push it. What you can see is that it's now soft, steamed. It's a nice little hack. We're going to pick that up and just give it a little whiz up. So that's doing its magic here. Now, I'm going to keep this bowl because we're going to now make the dumplings. So 75 grams of butter, the same amount, 75 grams of cheddar cheese. I'm then going to go in with a very brave tablespoon of whole grain mustard. It will give it a really nice little texture. So self-raising flour, 250 grams goes in. I want a pinch of salt, and then we're pretty much there. So let this buzz around first. 30 seconds. So look, you can see it's almost come together like a kind of crumble, right? So I'm going to go in with about 50 mils of milk, and I'll just add enough to bring this together. That's good. So let's just bring this out. So I'm going to take half of this sage here because you get a gorgeous flavour, very fragrant. Give it a little slap. So a little bit of flour on top, just a tiny bit. I'm going to cut that into 6. Let's talk about beans. So when you're trying to stretch food, these are your best friend. I'm using black beans. It could be ballotti beans, cannellini beans. Don't throw the juice away. Shake that in, ×2. And then we want 2 tins of water. Simply bring that to the boil. Now we can just place in these beautiful little cobblers. So the oven's at 180 Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit. Let's go straight in for around 20 to 25 minutes until it just looks incredible. Pan on, full whack. Kettle on, full whack. 3 carrots and a swede. So I want to make like a veggie mash. So I need to slice it around about 1.5 centimetres thick. Let's get these cooking. So what I'm going to do is just trim off the outside. And by the way, look for the reduced veg. Sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they're not. So we have to support our wonky veg and our less attractive veg. So to keep time and cooking down, we're going to go like 1.5 centimetre sliced one way, and then the other way. In with the swede, season it well with salt. Lid on, let that boil for like 20 minutes while that's cooking. This is looking good. Flipping away, and that fantastic dumpling is starting to puff up. This is very dark and comforting. We've got the vivid yellow swede and carrot. I want to get some greens in the story. So I'm going to take a colander, and these are spring greens, and these have had a wash. Slice them up. Then we can go in with these outer dark leaves, and we'll just tear those up. So I will pour away that liquid. Not all of it, actually, because I want to get a nice consistency. We're going to have a little mash up. So look, let's enrich it with a little bit of olive oil. Salt. Now let's hit it with some pepper. veggies, cooked with a little bit of love. Lovely greens. Now, the moment of truth. That dark, deep beef, onion, and mushroom stew, casserole, whatever you want to call it, with those incredible mustard dumplings. Don't forget, we've still got those last little bits of crispy sage. And that's it. Home-cooked food, made with love, thrifty and clever. So first up, Sweden carrot. Then let's go for some of those greens. Big old spoon. A wonderful winter stew. So let's get in there for the dumpling first. Right, let's go for the mince. Oh, yum. This is food full of flavour. The Sweden carrot is just so sweet and delicious. Love it. This little cobbler dumpling is a thing of joy. Delicious. Food that makes you happy. And if it can save you a couple of quid as well, that's a winner.
At a very delicious £1.29 a head, my Nana-inspired beef stew will serve 6 generous portions. By using a few clever hacks to bulk out lovely mince and making your own dumplings, you really can't go wrong.